Hey guys, it's Rich here from Kick It to Scoops. I am the sole admin of AFL information, trade rumours and results. You want to be part of the show, Kick It to Scoops? Send through your questions through the Facebook link, which I'll attach every show on the post. And if you want to email me at aflinfolive@gmail.com, send through your questions and you may feature on the show and be answered your question from yours truly, Rich, for free. Yes, for free. If you want to be on the show, as I said, send it through and I'll get back to you. Go Saints. Too easy this is. Kick It to Scoops.
Hello everyone and welcome to Kick It to Scoops. I'm your host Cooper Gretsch, the sole admin of AFL information, trade rumours and results. We've got a very, very loaded show. But before I go through what we're going to talk about today, I have a huge announcement. It's maybe devastating for some, maybe ideal for some, but this will be the final, and I mean this when I say this, for at least the current time, due to work commitments between myself and other people in my team, we will be having this show. The last time this show will be on a Tuesday as of right now. Things can change with work like that, but this is the final show on a Tuesday night at 8 p.m. But never fear, Scoops will still remain. Kick It to Scoops will still remain. Next week's grand final show will potentially be on Thursday night at 8 p.m. or Friday night at around that time. Time will be confirmed in a future post on the Facebook page. Now, the big topics of today. We're going to have world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang, talking about Joel Selwood whinging about umpiring, very hypocritical, and the Western Bulldogs carrying on drinking and dancing after winning a prelim. Yes, a prelim, not a grand final. Going to review the prelims and preview the granny early. The Scoops medal finals votes, the season review of the Swans and the Tigers. I've got an announcement to make in terms of a competition, a trade talk, your audio messages, and my final thoughts, including the Brownlow predictions, which is on Sunday night. Now, off the top, as I always say, you want me on Cameo, head to cameo.com/CooperG. Now, also, merch. There's more merch in the works. I'm going to tease this. Next week, or we'll say next week, I don't know, new merch is imminent. Let me repeat that. New merch is intimate. It is very, very close to being released. I'm not confirmed a day yet, but at the latest, next Monday night, there will be new merch reveal. People saying, Scoops, what merch? Find out then. At the latest next Monday, it's merch that is fantastic. I've just received, before recording this, the final design for this new merch, and my God, this is, to quote the few people in my team that have seen this design, the wording from one of the people was, holy fuck. Yes, this merch is merch that you've never seen before. It is must see and must grab limited edition merch, which will be out within the next week. Now, also other merch, you can still get stubby holders, mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, limited amount of stickers left. Yeah, there's a lot of merch, t-shirts, mugs, stubby holders. I'm probably missing a few. There's so much merch now. Get yours today. The link is in the description of this YouTube video and any previous YouTube Kick It Scoops episodes. Now, let's move on to the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang! Joel Selwood, Duckwood. Yeah, you can get your Duckwood t-shirts today on the merch website. There's 2 forms of t-shirts, Duckwood t-shirts. Go get yours today. But speaking of Duckwood, Joel Selwood, whinging about umpiring. Very hypocritical, Joel. Very, very, very hypocritical. Now, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I seen it earlier this year. There was a stat of current players in the competition. Get ready for this. Joel Selwood has more than 300. Yeah, 300. I'm not exaggerating. I'm genuinely serious. Towards the start of the year, he had, of the current players in the competition, including the ones that just retired, he had over 300 more free kicks than the second most free kick player of a current player. And coincidentally, that second most free kicks in the competition of current players is Paddy Dangerfield, another Geelong player. What a shock, right? What a joke. Selwood was whinging about a potential dive from Melbourne players, whinging at the umpires, mouthing off. Joel, Duckwood, Duck, Duck, Duck. Now, why am I repeating duck? Well, that's what Selwood does. He ducks. And now he's whinging about getting free kicks after the stat I just read to you and told you about. Joel Selwood, lift your game. What a joke. Joel Selwood, what a hypocrite for whinging about umpiring. Of anyone to be complaining about umpiring, it's him. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be joking me. Get a grip. Joel, so you're a joke. Seriously, whinging about umpiring. What a hypocrite. I'm also, while I'm at it, I didn't include this in my intro, but another Geelong person whinging who whinges a lot too, Chris Scott. His excuse in the post-match presser was, I'm not going to get into some detail. Some players have been underdone. Now, there's been reports from Tommy Morris, Tom Brown, and Jay Clark that some Geelong players were ill, whether you could say gastro, virus. It wouldn't have been the virus, but had a virus of some sorts, but shouldn't have played. Scott was basically effectively making excuses for Geelong getting thumped by Melbourne, and that was part of the excuse. Mainly the excuse was that the 6 players were underdone. Now, off the top of my head, those players were Lockie Henderson, Paddy Dangerfield, Jeremy Cameron, Tom Hawkins. There was 2 others, Cam Guthrie, and there was another one as well. So simply, Scotty, don't play them. Yes, I understand it's a prelim. Yes, I understand there were some of your big names, Cameron, Hawkins, Dangerfield, Henderson, Guthrie, and there was another one. Tough luck. Don't play them. Simple as that. 6 players you should have replaced them with, whether they were good compensation or not. Bad luck. Scotty, stop making an excuse. Your finals record is terrible. A lot of the media as well shown that. So, Scotty, lift your game. And the Bulldogs. Now, they may be progressing to the grand final next week against the Melbourne Footy Club. But after the win, a good win against the Power in Adelaide, they were carrying on, drinking, dancing after winning the prelim. Now, personally, I don't like any club doing that. So when people say, St Kilda done it, you would be okay with it. No, I wouldn't. Especially after a prelim. Did they win the granny already? Have they? And even if they do end up winning the grand final, to do that in a prelim, I think, is arrogance. I didn't see Max Gorn, Clayton Oliver, and Simon Goodwin say no. Then keep things low, do what they've been doing, and hopefully it can progress next week. Now, going by that, they're doing the right thing. What feels a respectable thing. They weren't carrying on after spanking Geelong in big fashion. But the Bulldogs, God almighty, carrying on. You see Johannesson in the footage, Lockie Hunter, Tom Liberatore, who seems to do that anyway. It's pathetic. I don't like it. It's a bad look. It's an arrogant look. Look, if people want to disagree, that's fine. But I feel that is a terrible look and an arrogant look. So if the Bulldogs lose, this is probably going to be brought up again. The Bulldogs lift your game. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Now, a late inclusion, Gladys Berejiklian. I'm just going to say one thing about her. You're embarrassing yourself. You've embarrassed your state. You've done secret deals with ScoMo. You've done comments where you said, I'm not going to do daily presses no more because there's no need. Well, you're hitting, and to quote you, Gladys, this month, the rest of this month and into October, it's going to be the worst month for hospitalisation rates and stuff like that, you say. That's what you said. And you're going to ditch daily press conferences? Lift your game, Gladys. And then you backtrack that statement by appearing yesterday on Monday. Gladys, you're embarrassing. Then you were asked, oh, you've had to change your heart of you. No. I was always planning to do Monday. You said multiple times before Monday that you would not appear Monday and no one would appear Monday. So Gladys, lift your game. Absolute nuffy. Now, I'm going to go from that. Hope you guys enjoyed that edition of Scoops Bang. I also want to quickly mention before I forget, goal reenactment potentially next week. Now, I review the preliminary review the preliminary finals and potentially go through the grand final. Now, just very briefly, 125 Friday night in Perth. Melbourne spanked Geelong by 83 points, 125 to 42. Geelong are gone. Max Gawn kicked 5, had a time of his life. Maxi had a big win. The Power, unfortunately, limited by the Bulldogs, 45 to 116, losing by 71 points. Unfortunately for the Power, their season is over. Had a very good year, but the Bulldogs and Melbourne progressed to the grand final. And the grand final, which is not this Saturday, the bye this round, they got the grand final, the Brownlow on Sunday, which we'll get to shortly or later on. Grand final Saturday, September 25th at Optus Stadium, 7:15 Melbourne time. You got Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs, 5:15 local time in Perth. I'm going to go for Melbourne. I think they should win pretty comfortably by about 5 goals. People are going to say, oh, Cooper, what's your prediction for Norm Smith? I'll go one of Max Gawn, Clayton Oliver, and maybe the smoky, people will say, is Ben Brown. But I think with Alex Keefe in an injury cloud, yes, he should play. Stephen May should play. But I think that Ben Brown could be a smoky for Norm Smith and could kick 3, especially if he's on Cordy or Gardner, and one of them may not play. But we'll wait and see. No, I'm not going to go through that. But yeah, Melbourne should win and win by about 5 goals or so. Now, where are we? Yeah, look, Gary Lyon and Chris Grant will be presenting the cup for the winning team. So Gaz, obviously being a Melbourne legend, will hand the cup to Simon Goodwin and co. and Maxi if Melbourne win, and if Bulldogs win, Chris Grant, who's currently involved at the football club, will present the cup if the Bulldogs are to win. Now, going to go through the Scoops Medal finals votes, the preliminary decision. Now, people are going to say something about this in particular, which you'll know what I'm about to say, so we'll know what I'll say after this. So I'm going to go through the votes first. Reenacting like the great Gillon McLaughlin. Melbourne v Geelong. Melbourne, Jay Viney, 1 vote. Melbourne, C. Petrarca, 2 votes. Melbourne, M. Gawn, 3 votes. Port Adelaide v Western Bulldogs. Port Adelaide, O'Wines, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, R. Bonner, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, J. McRae, 3 votes. Now, the leaderboard after the preliminary and final rounds. Now, you got on 9 votes, you got Jackson McRae. Then all the way on 3, you got Lockie Neal, Travis Boak, Isaac Keeney, Ollie Wines, Lockie Whitfield, and Max Gawn. I'll get to that in a second. On 2 votes, we've got Luke Parker, Clayton Oliver, Darcy Parish, Tom Hawkins, Bailey Smith, Riley Bonner, and Christian Petrarca. And on 1 vote, Horazio Fantasia, Charlie Cameron, Josh Kelly, Josh Shackey, Sam Menangola, Hugh McCluggage, and Jack Viney. Now, people say, oh, Cooper, Jackson McRae's won yet again. He's 6 votes ahead of Gawn, who's the only one that can win or tie. Well, can't win. Well, he can tie. Max Gawn can tie. If you remember, I clearly stated before the final series in the votes for that first round of finals that it was on average. Now, because some players would have played more games than others. So from the grand final, McRae would have played 4 games. Gawn would have played 3. So I said it would go by average. So in theory, Gawn needs 3 votes to tie Jackson McRae for the Scoops Medal Finals edition. If he doesn't get 3 votes, McRae wins. But if Max Gawn gets 3 votes and McRae does not poll, McRae and Gawn will be the joint winners of the Scoops Medal Finals edition. But if Gawn polls 2 votes or less, Jackson McRae will win. Well, Gawn can poll 3 and still lose. McRae would have to poll the 2 or the 1. Look, McRae's a red-hot leader. It's down to McRae or Gawn. Leave your thoughts down below who will win the Scoops Medal for Finals edition. McRae won the season, home and away one. Will he win the Scoops Medal for Finals edition? Now, I'm going to move on to the next segment, which is, let me get it back up, is the season review for the Swans and the Richmond Football Club. Now, we're going to go through the Sydney Swans first. The Swannies, well, they had a great year, didn't they? They had made the finals, lost, unfortunately, in the elimination final of the Giants by one solitary point. The highlights, though, for the Swans this year was the whole season. You know, their performance throughout the year was great. Early in the year, they beat Richmond and dominated them. And that wasn't the only team they dominated. I put in their highlights, team dominance around the board, from their back half to their midfield to their ruck, Tom Hickey, to their forwards, their whole area, coaching staff, Johnny Longmuir, Don Pike and co. It was great for the Swans. Unfortunately, it ended in the first week of finals, losing by a solitary point to their arch rivals in the Giants, their hometown rivals, the Giants. But yeah, the lowlights was that elimination final against the Giants by 1 point. Some trade targets and draft targets for the Swans. I feel they're stocked very well for key forwards with Logan McDonald, Buddy Franklin, Sam Reid if he stays, and a few others, Hayden McLean if he stays. But I think they need to target some ruck depth. Sam Naismith injury prone. Cal Sinclair probably won't be there after this year. Tom Hickey's had a great year. It was one of the best ruckmen in the competition this year. But and then ruck depth. Tom Hickey's around 30 years of age, so they're going to need at least, regardless, they're going to need depth in that area because Cal Sinclair won't be there after next year, and Sam Naismith's injury prone. And Hayden McLean will be gone too, is the other ruck depth. Players who disappointed, impressed was Luke Parker, Buddy, Rampy, Tom Hickey, Chad Warner, particularly in the first half of the year, and Jordan Dawson, who we'll get to shortly in the trade talk segment, which of course is a trade back home to SA, but he had a great year, Jordan Dawson. Some players that disappointed, Dylan Stevens, who's also linked to the Crows, being out of the club. Lewis Taylor didn't really get a game, but he was disappointing to not get a game after all the hype when he started his career at Brisbane, winning the Rising Star. And James Bell, I was never a fan of, who got in and out of the side. Grading, despite losing the first week of the finals, their overall season grading is an A. It was fantastic. No one really expected this from the Swans. I had them around the top 8. I think I might have had them in the 8. But to my expectations, they were great. To the overall side of things, people didn't think they make the 8, and they were fantastic. So the grading for the Swans is an A. Season report card. A+. A for the grading for the Swans. Now the Tigers, different expectations were expected to win a flag again, be in the top 4, dominate sides. Well, they did the complete opposite of that. The highlights of Richmond this year were one thing. That was beating Brisbane late in the year at Metricon, I think it was, or maybe the Gabba. I think it was at Metricon, but regardless where it was in Queensland, beating Brisbane late in the year was a highlight for Richmond. The lowlights, there was plenty. Losing to Sydney at the MCG early in the year. And the other key thing I wrote down, it's not really from a performance point of view, it's complaining from big club names. Damien Hardwick, Brennan Gale, Jack Rewalt, Trent Koch, and Dustin Martin. It's pathetic. They're whinging about, no soul, no energy. If you remember the season, episode 1 of Kick It to Scripts, the debut episode, I mentioned that in length about Hardwick and Gale complaining about playing at Marbles. Got no energy, no soul, Dimmer says. Fans only flock to the MCG. They're not only a week or two later, you played at the MCG, the home of footy, the venue where fans flocked to your army. Well, it was about, this time you had to play the Saints. You had 12,000 vacant seats that were allocated for you, give or take, and you didn't take them. Every Saints fan took their allocated opportunity, or the access of how many allocations there were. Saints took them all. Richmond left about 8,000 short. Pathetic. And speaking of the Saints keeping them to 2 goals at the MCG on that particular night. What a great moment that was for the Saints. In Richmond, that was a low light. That was pathetic and embarrassing. And I think the week after, they didn't score much after. And losses to the Gold Coast and Collingwood. They had a lot of lowlights, Richmond. Their trade targets and draft targets. Speed they need through the midfield in particular. Key defenders and key forwards. Keller Coleman Jones, Marby Old Child, question marks. We'll get to them later in the trade talk. Maybe on the way out. At least one of them will. So they need key defenders. With Asprey retiring, Noah Bolter will be coming out from an ACL injury. They need other options. Their Grimes is not a key defender. He's a third tall. And forwards, as I said. And speed through the midfield is also alluded to. Players who disappointed and impressed. Impressed? No one. Not one impressive player for Richmond this year. And their BNF count proved that. Disappointed because Jason Castagna, Dan Rioli, all their small forwards pathetic. I know Dan Rioli ended up playing as a halfback. Didn't think he'd set the water on fire there either, to be honest. Castagna was poor. Rioli was poor. Rioli shouldn't be on the list. Castagna should be. He's got a 1-year extension too, Jason Castagna. Yeah. So the grading for the Richmond Tigers, based on their expectations, is an F. Pathetic year. Yes, they don't have to finish last to get an F. Like if it's side that's expected to be there, they had some growth. It's different. Richmond were expected to be top 4 premiership contender again. They didn't make the 8, and they were not even close. Their ladder might show they were close, but they weren't close at all. Now, so the grading is for them is an F. Now, we'll move on to the next segment, which is, yes, before we get to trade talk, I'm going to mention a competition announcement. Now, there was some winners of the competition that I called on my Facebook the last few days. Because if you wanted to be on the show, tell me why and proof that you like the page. Now, I have selected some winners, and you will see them or their discussion between those people and I next week on the grand final edition. I'm not sure, as I said, what date it'll be a Thursday or Friday, more likely, but you'll see that announcement, or you'll see the interview. I don't know if you're calling it, some chat between myself and some other individuals. I just recorded it today. I'm looking forward to show you all guys next week. All the people involved, you'll hear who they are and who they go for, what they asked me. You'll see all that next week. So that's a must-see episode of Kick It Scoops, the grand final edition. And as I said earlier, you may see a grand final goal reenactment. Be tuning in for that. Now, the trade talk. But a lot of names to go through today, but some of the is more of an update and some is some new information. Jordan Dawson from the Sydney Swans, as I mentioned earlier, has requested to trade back home to SA. Luke Parker re-signed. George Hewitt, I've got some exclusive news on shortly. Jordan Dawson is requested to trade to SA. Swans are disappointed to lose him, but their tight salary cap would be the reason why they're not getting a satisfactory offer that Jordan Dawson would want. There's requesting a trade back home to SA. Adelaide and Port Adelaide are the contenders, clearly being from SA, Cooper, Scoops. But yeah, Jordan Dawson. At the moment, realistically, you think he should go to Port, but I think he may end up going to the Crows. We'll wait and see on that. Jack Billings signed, as of today, a 4-year deal on less money. Great to see JB re-sign the Saints on a 4-year deal. Good on you, JB. Paddy Ryder also signed a 1-year deal today. It's great to see Paddy Ryder. That combination, him and Rowan Marsh, will be great to see next year. Hopefully both stay injury-free and play together because they're both dominant. St Kilda's win-loss ratio is the wins are high when the two are in the side. So good luck to Paddy. Seb Ross, the other Saint, set to stay on a 2-year deal with a trigger of a third, potentially on lower money. It'd be good to have Seb retained in the squad for the Saints this year. So he didn't play his midfield as much as he used to, playing a half back, a tagging role, half forward. All over the place, Seb, but good to have him in the side still. Stay there. Some exclusive news on George Hewitt. He's set to knock back offers from Victorian clubs and will stay a Swan. If anything was to change, I would post about it. As of right now, I can exclusively reveal that George Hewitt will remain a Swan. Adam Chera, the other big name, he is traded to Victoria, his home state, from Dockers. I feel that Carlton are in the mix. Richmond's getting mentioned a little bit now. Richmond got two first round picks available, which could entice the Dockers. So I wouldn't rule that out, but it make no sense as to how it could fit in their salary cap wise. Adam Chera, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, St Kilda, would they be interested? They'll be interested for sure. Will they get him? I don't think so. Right now, there should be one they should target. But they got a lot of inside mids already, so they don't really need another type. But he's young, exciting, and a great player. Young Adam Chera would be great no matter where he goes. Now, next off the list, Dylan Stevens. I mentioned him, alluded to him a bit earlier. He's from SA, could go to Adelaide, but it's been talked by Theo Doropoulos from 7 News Adelaide last night that Collingwood are keeping a tabs on Dylan Stevens, so we have to wait and see there. The young mid, so I picked 5 a few years ago. I'm not a big fan of Dylan Stevens. I don't know why Collingwood would want him, especially at a big price. Now, the Richmond forward ruck duos of Callum Coleman Jones, Marbiol Chol. There's been early interest in Essendon with Marbiol Chol, and Adelaide with Callum Coleman Jones being from SA. I feel one will go, and I think it'll be Marbiol Chol will be the one to go. Where he goes, other than the Essendon link that the AFL side had a few weeks ago, don't see much progress there at the moment, but I think he'll be on the outer and it'll be elsewhere, Marbiol Chol. I don't think both will stay. one will go. And if it's Callum Coleman Jones that was going to be to Adelaide, more likely, because Chola could be Essendon, or a club like Gold Coast, but we'll have to wait and see. Jack Loney, Dean Kent, Paul Hunter, Dara Joyce from St Kilda, all out of contract still. They'll probably have to wait to the end of the trade period. I expect Loney, as I said earlier ago, he's been let go. But they haven't said anything, so it makes me wonder whether he had 4 clubs interested in the previous 2 years, Jack Loney, so maybe they're just waiting for the trade period to begin there. Hopefully Loney stays, but still the news is to me that he's been let go, unfortunately. Daniel Talia, now there's been a lot of interest from a lot of clubs. He'll be under a deal as a free agent. Don't rule out the Saints. So there's Essendon links, there's Richmond links, there's Geelong links, because they always link to old players, Geelong. Didn't Talia find a new home, so it'd be great for Talia, who I think the Crows should have kept, but they've got a good lot of young key defenders at the Crows, Jordan Butts, Tommy Duday, Nick Murray, there's a few others as well, I forget off the top of my head. There's some good halfbacks and medium-sized defenders. Jake Kelly was the news that he's going to request a trade to Essendon from Mitch Cleary. There's an interesting request. See that Jake Kelly, the Crow intercept defender, is going to move to Essendon, which Essendon need key defenders, as I mentioned last week, not hybrid key medium-sized defenders. Next off the links is Tom Lynch, who was also delisted from the Crows. Then isn't as clear. I would personally want him back to St Kilda. I think he's the top player St Kilda could add. Tom Lynch would be a good addition. Currently going back to the Saints, I don't think it'll happen. I think Tom Lynch deserves to go. His form in the last half of the year for the Crows was fantastic. After being told he was delisted, multiple games after over 20 positions. I think one of the games late in the year he had 29. He should be given another go somewhere else. Mason Cox, I think he'll get a go somewhere else now. To be honest, I'm thinking more confident than he will. I don't think he'll stay at Collingwood. I think that at least for depth option, Mason Cox is a solid depth option. Now, some Geelong trio, who I exclusively revealed for years that Charlie Constable wants out, and he does want out. Now I tell him he doesn't is wrong. Jordan Clark and Narkle have been strong on this year also that they'll want out. They have told Chris Scott and co that they want out. All three will Constable and Narkle are definitely 100% going to go because they're not contracted. Clark is contracted, so it's not 100% certain it'll happen. But he wants out and has told Geelong he wants out, and Doc is the right link there. Sam Petrescu Senior, who I haven't written down, has been talked about going to Freo. I would stay away from him purely because I don't think his football ability is great. He was in and out of Carlton, so if he's in and out of Carlton, he shouldn't be going anywhere, and Fremantle should stay away from selecting Petrescu Senior, keep the young midfield brigade they got. Sam Wiedemann, who obviously in season with Melbourne, he'll go North Melbourne and Collingwood link there. Trent Dumont, it's interesting. I still had a contract in North Melbourne. I think he's a highly underrated player at North Melbourne. They don't seem to rate him. He's coming from injury, but they've got Taron Thomas playing middle. We've got Cunnington, Luke Davis-Uniacke, Jaden Stevenson's pushing in there. He's one to watch his space on. He's from SA. Don't be surprised if the Crows try and target Trent Dumont or another Victorian club. I think he's highly rated, Trent Dumont. I rate him. Hopefully he gets to go somewhere. He'll definitely get to go somewhere. Maybe re-sign in North Melbourne, but we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be so certain that he stays at North Melbourne, though. Aidan McLean linked to St Kilda. I think he either stays to Swan or he goes to St Kilda. Pretty clear cut there. Boyd Woodcock, young small forward from the Power, had a pretty good game against the Saints around 17-18 mark, maybe a bit later. Out of contract, told apparently by Theodoropoulos, this is reported also that he has to wait to the end of the trade period. Sorry, not by Theodoropoulos, from Tom Wren, I think it was, from SA. It said that you have to wait to the end of the year, or what, during the trade period. I feel Boyd should stay. If not, make it a go as a delisted free agent somewhere else. Hopefully Boyd should go because he deserves it. Mitch Wallace and Pat Lipinski, both will be out of the Dogs. Lipinski's linked to Collingwood and Carlton. More likely Collingwood at this stage. Mitch Wallace, I feel he may get another go. It won't be at the Bulldogs. Beveridge clearly doesn't like him, and it's well shown and documented. He should get another go. Club, though, Gold Coast seem to get that type of player, like a Townsend time. Will a Mitch Wallace be worth a go there? Or GWS could go for a Mitch Wallace type to help Toby Green in that area. We'll have to wait and see. And two Eagles finally to wrap up the trade talk. Jared Brander and Jack Redden. Don't be surprised that both are out of contract. Brander's been linked to Geelong last year. I don't see that happening to Geelong, but I have to wait and see there. And Jack Redden, it'd be expected he stays on a 1 or 2 year deal, but don't rule out Jack Redden leaving the West Coast Eagles. They've got a tight salary cap. But yeah, we're going to wait and see. Then finally, too, I want to mention to Lockie Neal. Now people want to say, Cooper said he was going to Brisbane, back to Freo. Ryan Daniels said that, and I was believing Ryan Daniels. And who's to say he won't request it next year? But yeah, as of right now, Brisbane, he's staying at the Brisbane Lions after some new talks. Change of heart, Lockie Neal and his wife Jules. We wish Lockie all the best. Now, we've got 3 audio messages to go through today. We're going to hear some of them now. And yeah, we'll listen to them right now.
Hey Scoops, big fan. Just wondering if you think that if the Doggies win the grand final, if the AFL will give the umpires premiership medallions as well.
I love this question from Mr. Anonymous. I love this question. Will the Bulldogs, if they win the premiership, will the umpires get a medallion with them? Absolutely they will, mate. They will. You know, their free kick differential is plus 80, 90. Plus 30 is Geelong, and then everyone else is not even close. So absolutely, mate. I see the 3 grand final umpires getting a premiership medallion with them. Absolutely, mate. I love that question. Appreciate you. Send any more in the future, mate, if you want to send some in. And anyone else that goes well, send an email or an audio message with your question to aflinfolive@gmail.com. We'll move on to the next 2.
Scoops, mates, how you going? My name is Brett Rutten, and yeah, I've just got a question. By the way, love the show, really big fan. But Al Clarkson, I'm sure you've got some info on him or some scoops on him to come, but just wondering, do you reckon this year off that he says he's going to take is actually the real deal? I've heard whispers he's connected with, Carlton, etc. But just wondering if he's going to take that year off, and if so, would he go back to hosting that show that he used to host, like about cars? What's it, like Top Gear, I think it's called? But thanks, mate. Would love to hear from you. Please put me up on the show. A big fan. Bye.
Thank you for your question, Brett Ratton. You are not Brett Ratton. I know who you are. Your email name was different to that. But anyway, your question was good, but you're not Brett Ratton. Okay? And the Top Gear comment, not that great. Clarko, yeah, don't rule him out. When Carlton are up to something, because they've absolutely butchered this coaching debacle. Brad Scott's now set to get the AFL CEO job after Josh Marnie from Essendon had pulled out of the race. So Scotty doesn't look like Brad Scott's getting the coaching job at Carlton. But, well, Chris Scott, he didn't really rule out. Brian Cook will go there as the CEO. Clarko, yeah, but don't rule it out still. I'm not ruling it out. I may have ruled it out in the past and brought it back into attention. Don't rule it out, but it's still unlikely, mate. We'll move on to the next and final question.
Hey, Cooper, it's Ben here. I have listened to your podcast for a while, and here's my question. There has been a lot of misleading news in the radical AFL media. I was wondering if similar to hit players get fined and suspended, whether you think journalists should be sanctioned as well for their mistakes. Thanks for the response.
Kind of like that was a computerized Siri type thing, but anyway, I'm just joking, people. Yeah. Should the media be held accountable with fine like players do? Depends what they say. If it's an opinion thing, like saying, "Oh, you didn't have a good game" or whatever. No, probably not, to be honest. But I appreciate that question. Again, as I said, mid messages. If you want to send your audio messages through, providing they are appropriate, email me at aflinfolive@gmail.com. Send through your audio messages, and you may feature on the show. I appreciate you all for sending your audio messages in. My final thoughts are this. My Brownlow predictions. Now, the Brownlow is on Sunday night. Now, yes, going by my Scoops minute, you could say, yeah, I got Jackson McRae and Tom Mitchell the top 2. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think that will happen, because that's what I clearly thought by my votes. All of the votes will be different. The umpires see it differently. Everyone's never gets it accurately correct, the amount of votes, potentially the order of people, but not the vote number. I think McRae's a chance. I think Tom Mitchell will be a chance. I don't think they'll give him the chance, the umpires. I think Jack McRae's a chance. Tom Mitchell, yeah. Clayton Oliver, Jack Steele, Amanda Steele, Ollie Wines. So Wines, Steele, Oliver, McRae. They're probably the mix. And Toy Camille, I know he's ineligible. Should be up there. But again, the AFL seem to pick players. I don't know how you guys feel. Leave your thoughts down below. But I feel per every game, it should be the best individual, 3 best individual players on the ground. So, for example, if your team loses by 50 points, your player had, from the losing side, had 40 possessions, 3 goals. You can't go, oh, sorry, your team got spanked. You don't deserve a vote. That's wrong. I feel it's the best 3 individuals on the ground. Isn't that meant to be how it's meant to be? That's how it should be. The best 3 individuals. Not, oh, your team lost by 100 points. You can make up 40 possessions, but you don't deserve a vote for that reason. Pathetic. Anyway, that's my Brownlow predictions. Jackson McRae, Jack Steele, Toik Miller, Ollie Wines, Tom Mitchell, and Clayton Oliver. A mixture of that in the top 3 or 5. Appreciate you all, but my other final thoughts are this. You want me on Cameo, head to cameo.com/Cooper G. Merch is in the works, as I mentioned earlier. Should I mention it or should I not? I think I might. There is new merch, as I said, going to be revealed on Monday at the latest. This merch, as I mentioned earlier, quoted one of my merch team, is holy fuck. It is amazing. The designer, which I'll probably mention his name next episode, has done a freaking awesome job. If you're watching this, you know who you are. We really appreciate all your work, me, my merch team, and my producing team, and everyone at Scoops, is Kick It Scoops. We are loving your work, mate. Your designs are amazing. They're selling well. And again, I'll mention his name next week, potentially, but you've done a great job, mate. So we really do appreciate your work. And we can't wait to show everyone like you. Can't wait to see people's reactions to this top. Or tops. Tease, Scoops, hey? Tease. And also, the other big announcement I mentioned at the top of the show, Kick It to Scoops will be a regular thing. Unfortunately, due to work schedule commitments between myself and producers and everyone, it's not guaranteed it'll be a Tuesday every week now. More than likely, realistically, it'll be a Thursday night or Friday night now. This potentially could change over the coming weeks, but if it sets in to be that for the next month or two, expect that to be a regular thing. Now, providing it could be on a Thursday or Friday night, people could say, Scoops, if you do it in season, games could be on. Well, yeah, I will adjust accordingly to a week-by-week thing, but I always will let you guys know. If there's no games on, if it's on a Thursday or Friday, it'll be at 8 p.m. But when there's games on, it potentially could be, if it's going to be on a Thursday or Friday still, more than likely it could be around the 6:37 time slot, depending on what time the games are. But again, I'll adjust accordingly. So again, guys, appreciate you all. Thanks for tuning in to Kick the Scoops. Grand final edition next week. It's going to be a big episode. You've seen earlier the competition that I had. You see some great guests on next week. Maybe I could exclusively reveal some guests, big name guests I could have on in future months. I may reveal them next week, but you have to wait and see on the grand final show. And I will be on after the grand final, but it's a grand final show, but it's grand final week. Till next week, everyone, have a great one. And most importantly, go the Saints! Yeah!